Matthew 16. Why at the end of World War II were the Nazis brought back to Nuremberg, to Germany, for their trial? Well, it was felt that to get closure to this war, the army that was defeated needed to see their judgment take place at the place where they once reigned. And that will kind of play into how we see the story of Matthew 16. This is the lone travel that we know of where Jesus goes to the base of Mount Hermon. It's called Caesarea Philippi. In the ancient world, it was called Banias. This is before the days of Jesus, or Panion. The reason this is important is because Panion means the sanctuary of Pan, or the god Pan. And again, the bigger point here is that this is a mountainside, and the leftovers are there even to this day when we travel there, where there was a temple dedicated to the god Pan. And it just seems to be, in fact, Matthew 16:13 says it this way: when Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" It's as though Jesus takes the offensive, and the text purposely says when he gets to this area, he asks, "Who do people think I am?" And again, if we have missed it to this point, here we are again with this idea of which God do you worship, or who are we talking about in the story when it comes to divine beings and who is to be worshipped. So Jesus says to his followers, "Who are men saying that I am?" right in front of an area that was well known for the worship of other gods. And of course you hear the ideas of, well, some people say you're John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah even. You get the sense that the ancient Jew saw their story continuing into the New Testament era through roles or slots to be filled in that story. And so Jesus asked the question that way. And of course Peter then makes the great statement, you are the Christ. Let's talk about that. Again, this is the word Christos in Greek, or Mashiach in Hebrew. It occurs 39 times in the Old Testament as a person who is anointed. Mashiach in Hebrew, or in the verb form, just means to smear or anoint. So the noun form seems to be someone who is anointed for the purpose of something, or for the cause of something. And it will be prophets, priests, usually kings, who will be anointed. So it's not the last name of Jesus. This is a title. And of course in Greek, Christos will be what he's known as. What's also good to catch in the Old Testament, and sometimes Christians pre-pack this with a capital C and then go back into the Old Testament looking for things that really were not there on the left to right first time reading of the Old Testament. For instance, was this anointed one ever said to suffer and to die? No. Even Isaiah 53, when we go back and check, it never mentions the Messiah in that story. So any kind of a messianic prediction, in fact, let's make that our second point, there is no predictive value of the word Mashiach in Old Testament times. In other words, it was always someone who at that moment was reigning or ruling, who is anointed. But you never have any or predictive value to that word. So going into the New Testament story, you really can't say based on reading the Old Testament that they knew that a Messiah, or especially the Messiah, was coming. As I think I mentioned before, the phrase in Greek, the Christ, ha Christos, is never used anywhere before the New Testament, and never in the Septuagint or the Greek version of the Old Testament. So it would be unfair as New Testament modern Christians to go back into the Old Testament looking for the Messiah, when really we don't have any record of it, reading it in its own language. In fact, what's best to do, and this is where I think this story goes, you are the Christ, but notice how that's a pointer. You're the anointed one, and how it ends is really the most important thing, the Son of the living God. This again is the full statement of Peter. And the Son of God, that's really what we're trying to get to. The Messiah, the anointed one, how so anointed to do what? It points to this as really the the gist of the statement, the Son of God. Now this goes back to Psalm 2:7, where God himself, Yahweh, anoints a king to be reigning for him on the earth. Psalm 2:7, you are my son. There's no sense, again, of divinity or deity there. It's just a human who has been anointed to be God's son. It's not physical offspring, of course. What it means is a uniquely and divinely appointed person to fulfill a role, and a person who would be intimate with God in doing so. This is less intimate here. We have this said in the Old Testament again. A Messiah or a Mashiach could be someone even like Samson, who turns out to be a failure, or a Gentile like Cyrus, who's not even a Yahwist. So this term here again has no religious value, really. It points to something that comes after it, shall we say, and here it is, the anointed one who is the Son of God. So this is going to be Jesus' main title that will be useful throughout his ministry. Let's think, in fact, of some of the times, critical moments in Jesus' life when this phrase comes up. After the sea is calmed in Matthew 14, then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. After everyone leaves, remember in John 6, and Peter is asked, are you going to leave too? And he says, we have come to believe and to know that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Martha is challenged, and this is coming up, at the graveside of Lazarus as to what she or who she believes Jesus is. And she says, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. When demons meet Jesus, Mark 3:11, we saw this. Whenever the gods saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, saying, you are the Son of God. The demons know who Jesus is, and the chosen title, their favorite title, even as their enemy, or even as Jesus being their enemy, they will use that title for Jesus. Jesus' upcoming trial, when Caiaphas finally quiets the crowd and wants Jesus to admit who he is, he says, I adjure you, I put you under oath, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God. And notice how there, both in Matthew 26, later to come, and in this story here, you get the feeling that Jesus is using this when he asks Peter to admit who he is, and Peter says it. You get this sense that Jesus is going to use this to move the story forward. In other words, it's a critical moment in the story of Jesus that his followers know who he is, and that because of who he is, now we can move forward in the story. And in the Matthew 26 story, it will be that he will reign with Yahweh. He will come on the clouds. And here in this one, as we conclude, he says, and you're Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, or my group. And I think it means that upon this statement, this admitting of who I am, I will be the one to destroy Satan's rule on the earth. And then he turns and talks about his suffering and death for the first time. So that will be to come, and let's talk about that next time.